Carolyn here to share another message. This time, I'm going to talk about how you can participate right now in helping with the collective panic that we all seem to be in, or a good portion of us. So, it's Lightworkers time. Yep, it is. Call to action. So, there is something you can do to assist in what I am calling, and I know you all know what I'm talking about, the collective panic. All right? We are Lightworkers, and I want to talk about what you're going to notice today because of the collective panic potentially, and what you can do to participate, because so many of us think, what am I supposed to do as a light worker? I don't know, I'm not doing anything, or I'd like to participate more. I'm going to give you something that you can do to make a difference. So with that today, thank you to everybody who's joining me again. I'm Carolyn. I'm a distance energy healer, a channel, and a spiritual awakening mentor. And I offer these videos and these channels from the Light Keepers to help you along your ascension and awakening journey. So thank you so much for joining me. And you can also join me on Facebook and Instagram under Purple Rain Healing on my Facebook and Carolyn Zaiser on Instagram. So as we get started, I want to share a Light Keepers channel on the topic of fear, because that's what we're talking about here today, and how light workers can participate in this, what I just called collective panic. Fear is what keeps one in their place, whipping up in the mind we do, scared at making the next move we become too, and then frozen in place it can be in time. But once we look at the thing we fear and stand up tall and speak our mind, doing this over and again, you'll find that fear is created even more, we say, in your own minds, making the thing even bigger today. So lock the door and throw away the key and say, no more will you be what makes me feel small and tamed and broken, all because you, fear, have spoken. In my mind, I can control all from this vantage point of my own strength of soul and make my way past you today, the fear I had from you in my way. Bold and strong, you move past it too, for you begin to realize you are controlling you. And when the thing that scared you so sees you standing tall as you grow, it shrinks in direct proportion to the light of knowing that has come over you. A journey it is, oh yes we say, to learn how to look fear in the face. But leave it must as you rise too, for its darkness cannot live in the light of you. So, what I want to talk about today is this collective panic that we're in, and how we can participate and how we can help ourselves in this journey so that we can continue to help the collective as the light workers that we are. So first of all, I want to talk about a sense that may have come over you in the last few weeks, and it happened to me. So I'm just going to explain what occurred with me, and you may be able to relate to this. So over the last, I'm going to say, week or so, and I've had some other things going on, some shifts and changes that I'm making, but about 80% of what was happening with me was something I didn't recognize. And that was depression, sadness, heaviness, insecurity, lots of insecurity, great angst, traveling with me through my day. Nothing had changed in my day. Nothing had changed in my journey, my life, in the activities that were occurring with other humans, etc. Nothing like that. So there was not an actual event that I could tie any of this to. So I was thinking about my life and thinking about the things. I thought, well, possibly this is just the awakening, because we do have some of those feelings at times. But I knew something else was up, because this lasted for a couple weeks now. And then last night, as I'm actually talking with a friend, we unfolded a number of things, and this topic came up. And suddenly what we realized that was happening to both of us is the energy of the collective panic, which, by the way, as we put energy towards something, as that channel just said, we make it bigger. Again, thoughts are things, as many of you know, and the more we focus on something, the bigger it becomes. So consequently, what we've got in the energetic atmosphere is a collective fear of panic. Now, whether you're walking around each day not seeing anything associated with what you feel like is panic, oh, it's inside a lot of people. And it's expressed out in their energetic auric field, in their expressions they make, in their actions they take, in many, many of us walking around now. So consequently, it builds into this huge energetic force that with light workers, since we're much more sensitive now to energy, many of us have opened up into being very empathic. I, for one, never really was that empathic. And now I feel energy like nobody's business. Turns out we're taking in the collective energy of panic. So if you have started to feel recently, and I'll say in the last month, particularly in the last couple weeks, a heaviness about yourself, a depression about yourself, and these are things that aren't common for you typically, right? I mean, I know we all go through these little fits and starts in the awakening journey, but I'm talking about when it stays with you fully, okay, for an extended period of time. When you are not feeling good, when you're not feeling healthy in yourself mentally, and this is primarily emotional feelings you're going to notice. I'm going to set aside the physical part right now because that's not where it was coming from for me. This was fully emotional, full on feeling of depression, anxiety, insecurity in spades, which I am not an insecure person. And I knew something was up, but I couldn't identify it. And that was the most difficult part. And here's the thing. Many of us are much better off and can process things when we have some grasp of what is going on. It's when we can't identify that it's connected to something else, that we can't intellectualize it, and we can't like mind, body, and soul process it. So what happened last night when we both identified that, oh my gosh, we're taking in the collective energies of panic throughout the world, frankly, okay? And I'm not trying to overstate this at all for some of you that might not think that maybe it's even anything we want to talk about, but what I'm trying to do is help you understand also what you're going to notice potentially in your own body. If you haven't, that's great. You've been found a way to maybe you're doing a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about, because I am going to give you practices and things you can do, but I'm going to give you the biggest practice of how you can participate and help. So that said, start determining if in fact this might be where this is coming from for you. Now, what I determined this morning was 80% of what I'd been feeling was coming from this collective panic that's out there. The energetic state that has been created by people that don't understand that thoughts are things, that we put energy towards something that we don't want, we can create more of it, okay? So then I realized 20% is my stuff, like coming back from the retreat, integrating new energies, the continued awakening stuff, all that. So I still got other stuff going on, but that's normal. So consequently, when I recognized this and my friend said this, it was like something just snapped in me. And this might happen to you when you hear this, because I wasn't even thinking that this could potentially be what is not my own, okay? Because I don't feel any panic, but there's a lot out there. So consequently, because it's in the air, you're taking it in. Just like, breathing the air we breathe outside every single day. We're taking in what others take in, regardless of whether we want to or not, because we have to breathe. It's the same way with energies, okay? But there are things that we can do to assist ourselves. So when I became consciously aware, and like you might, as you hear this, that this was collective energy potentially, suddenly, in literally a blink of an eye, I felt this huge release, like a weight had come off my shoulders. And I knew, because I know how I operate, the minute I understand something intellectually, to a degree, it doesn't have to be the whole thing, right? That I know this is what it is, then I released that energy. And I could feel that I was in a lighter state. I was coming back into myself. And I said to her, oh my gosh, okay. And then out of my mouth came, I'm going to go take an Epsom salt bath now. I'm going to meditate on this. And I'm going to do a meditation of transmuting the collective energy of panic into the violet flame. That just came flying out of my mouth. I did that. I actually then took my Epsom salt bath. So what I want to do for you today is tell you how not only you can assist yourself, but how you can participate like I did last night. And it was super powerful. If you're wondering how you can participate in anything at all, this is a great practice, because we can transmute energy. We can shift and change the collective energetic state. And if we all do it, imagine what could happen, right? So the first most important thing is, oh my gosh, if you're wrapped up in all of this too, get yourself grounded and step away. Because when we tend to go into an energetic state that is not kind of a natural soul state, which is calm and peaceful and, again, connected, um, which means, to me, means grounded. We're off in the ethers. We're not grounded. We're panicking. We're angry. We're upset. We're arguing with people over things, about, it can be anything, but in this case, this collective panic that I'm talking about. So the first thing is to get yourself good and grounded. Recognize that you're not. Recognize consciously that you're not feeling the right way, okay? Now, some of you may not be. You can still do this practice and assist in this, but many of you will find that you're being affected whether you know it or not, and you may be feeling that low level state and not fully involved in the conversation and wrapped up in all the news and all of that stuff. But if you are, you're ungrounded, okay? You're going to be ungrounded. So starting to get yourself grounded, sitting in meditation, doing your self-care practices, getting out in nature, consciously saying, I need to ground myself. Taking Epsom salt baths, great way to release energy. And a lot of it is your intention as well with this practice, consciously being aware of what you're doing to ground yourself. So center yourself, because what happens when we panic and we get into those modes of fear, like they were talking about, we aren't inside ourselves. We're outside of ourselves. We are not centered. So we want to center deeply inside ourselves, take deep breaths, sit down in your meditation practices, which I'm going to assume you're all doing in one way or another, some kind of quiet practice, get out in nature, really start feeling that within you, okay, before you do anything else. And then one of the bigger things is, and I know many of you live with others who are probably jabbering all day long about some of these topics, finding a way to separate yourself from all of this. Now, the human us can get very drawn into media, social media, all of that. I don't care how advanced we are in the awakening journey or think we are. You still have those times. Most of us do still have those times where we get sucked in. Realize it. Consciously understand that, wow, I'm really being affected by what I'm seeing in media, whatever kind of media that even is. Step away. Go to the places that don't offer that, all right? Because one of the first things is to disconnect from that energy that's sucking you in and creating the cord, creating that energetic cord. Get rid of it, okay? But you got to change your habits first, right? So stepping away from that, staying at very much an arm's length. And then after these two important pieces, pulling back and being the observer. Now, this is part of the awakening process. It's kind of not something you just magically say, oh, I'm going to do that. It tends to just start happening as you move forward in the awakening journey. But what I mean, and if you're not there right now and able to be the observer and not get fully involved, this will be a little more difficult, but you can at least consciously put it in your mindset that you want to be the observer. Step outside of all that's going on, regardless of whether, say, you're living with or working with people who are wrapped up in all the frenzy and you can't get away from them. What you can do is practice observing. Just take a deep breath. And as the conversation starts up and you can't get away from it, step back and speak from the highest part of you, not the human part, okay? Also understand that as you do this, you'll start seeing the rest of your surrounding as kind of a play, like you're watching the play. You can kind of look at it like that as people start talking and jabbering about this topic that's causing the collective panic of health issues. You can truly remove yourself, but it's very much a conscious effort to do this if you're not in a natural state of doing this and having practiced this. And again, a lot of that comes naturally. So observing the conversation, not inserting yourself in the thick of it with 10,000 opinions and getting all wound up and getting angry or getting scared and fearful and then elevating all that energy. Don't participate in that. You can just silently observe. Now, if you're like me and you're much more extroverted and you got opinions on everything, oh my God, is that hard? Oh my gosh, I found myself getting wrapped up into those conversations this weekend and it felt horrible. Horrible. So I have a real challenge on that one. And I didn't even realize I was doing it. Sometimes you don't even know you're doing it. So now that we've talked about it today, hopefully you're consciously aware of when you insert yourself into these conversations and it feels really icky because it's not your vibration any longer. So when you can't remove yourself from those circumstances, you can be the observer. You can breathe more. You can listen more. Don't take it in fully. Just listen, even if you have to just half listen. But watching reactions, you can kind of make it a game too. But again, holding space for everybody else, grounding for everybody else. So you can kind of change your mindset around when you're in these groups and you can't get away, because it does happen. And you can do the grounding. You can do the transmuting. I'm going to tell you how to transmute in a minute. Now, you can create your own process, but this is mine. And this is the big part of how you can participate. Okay? And I would ask you to try it in your own way. Again, mine is not a recipe, but it very much is a way for you to participate. So what we've talked about already is, of course, making sure you're consciously aware of this, understanding and seeing if you're being affected by it, with the collective panic, in essence, affecting you and you taking in those energies, and continuing to do your clearing practices. But regardless of whether you are or not, as you have a desire to participate in assisting in this, is ensuring you're grounded, first of all. Okay, regardless of what your circumstance is and if you're taking in these energies or not, or feel like you're not. Okay, because some of us really do. Others seem to not have that happen as much. But so assessment first, then ground yourself. Everybody should just do that. Ground yourself, center within yourself. Breathe deeply within yourself. Become the observer in the circumstance. Step back out of the fray. And there are many things you can do to make this more of like an observing game as such. And then you can get ready to actually do the activity. Now, there's some things, what I did last night is I took an Epsom salt bath. And basically what I did was I then did a meditation, essentially, where I felt myself grounded into the earth. I did that process. I actually do a figure 8 and I bring the light in through me, and then I ground into the earth, and I do that a few times. I speak a whole bunch of words, and you'll find your own words, but about bringing the energies in. And then essentially what I did was I do a lot of hand movements that I don't really understand, but they just happen. I pulled in, I asked for the collective energies. I kind of just brought them in because my point in this is, as light workers, we're transmuting those energies. We're moving them out of us, but we're also helping the collective by doing that process. Okay. So what I found myself doing was a lot of arm movements, but at that point, it wasn't just about me releasing the energy from me that I had collected from the collective panic. I was also deciding I was going to take more in. Okay. And so you can choose what you want to do, or you just deal with it yourself for yourself too, so you feel better. And then start a practice of maybe moving the energy collectively out, gathering it. And then what I do is I move it into the violet flame, okay, for transmutation. Okay, I have super chills in that, so apparently that's a thing you might want to consider, but again, this is your process. But whatever you intend to do with those energies, to move them out into transmutation, into positive energy. And then I did, what came to me next was create your own process. It's going to feel really good when you do. And then I just felt this soothing energy. I just did this kind of ball-like movement around the earth. And I just felt, I have chills now. I just felt a calming energy coming over all of the earth and the people. And I have super chills. This is crazy. Anyway, and then I released what remained out of that, transmuted into the violet flame again. And that's a process I use anyway, the violet flame. But the point is you can create your own process, and you are going to feel, you're going to feel this. Like I feel like I'm feeling this right now as I'm going through this process. The more you do it, the more you're going to understand your own process. But the point in this is what you've done is you've participated in assisting the collective. That's what we're here for. Light workers are here to ground in the strength of the light during difficult times. And as I've talked in the months past, 2020 is a time where things are going to occur. Not that they haven't in the past, but this is really the time for the light workers in us to be able to participate. And again, you may think, well, I need to do something grandiose. It is big when you're sitting transmuting energy for the collective. That's huge. When you just sit individually on your own, you might also want to bring a group together and do this. There's so many things you can do. You can bring a group together to do a collective meditation and transmute the energy of the collective panic. Because what we're doing is, as we panic, we create a bigger situation. And we want to do this with ease and grace within ourselves. So we want to take care of ourselves first, get that groundedness, get that centeredness, become that observer, feel good about ourselves in this, clear our own energies, and then help transmute the rest of that in whatever process makes sense for you. But I bet you can get super creative. Now, I'm going to individually do this. I'm going to probably do this every night. And I know how I'm going to do it, what my practice is going to be. But like I said, maybe you can pull in some other light workers. Maybe you can get a group online to do this. How cool would that be? Not to mention you'll meet new people, right? And you're really practicing on how it is to ground into all of the centeredness within yourself and be able to stay the stable presence as many in humankind are not, okay? And it will be a very big test for you when in fact you are surrounded by people who are doing nothing but talking about this. But again, how you act as that observer, how you act as that calm presence, how you ground into yourself, how you ground into the earth, how you pull in the light, how you offer then the transmuting of those energies out into, in my case, the violet flame for changing into positive energy. Oh, what a difference that you can make. And again, it's energetic. Everything's energetics. And if you know that, you'll realize you won't have to see a result right in your face. You're going to know it. You're going to feel it in your body, mind, and soul. So again, I hope I've offered you something today so that you can step away from any panic, fear that you feel in your journey about the current circumstance we have across the world with respect to our health. So please understand that you are a powerful presence on earth. You are a light worker for a reason. And I challenge all of you to participate in a way that is of positive light and energy for others going through this journey as well. So thank you so much for joining me today. And visit my services, purplerainhealing.com, if you want to work with me, because I channel prolifically throughout all of my sessions. I offer spiritual awakening mentoring, which assists you forward in your awakening journey, where we channel a lot of information from your spirit team, your angels, your guides, your higher self, to launch you forward in your awakening journey and to help you deal with some of the things you're having to deal with in the awakening and that you might not have anybody else to talk to. I also offer 3 different types of channeled messages session and distance energy healing. And lastly, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already for more of this free content. I thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you in the next video.